In a city that runs on corruption, a deal is made in back rooms, and sacrifices everyone agrees on are necessary. There is just one man who doesn't completely agree with this. He doesn't have a plan, he doesn't have big speeches, he just won't stand for it. That man is Sam Vimes, commander of the Ankh-Morpork City Watch. And when we first meet him, he is none of those things. He's a sergeant, a drunk, a man in charge of a watch so broken and irrelevant that the city has essentially forgotten it actually exists. And yet, it recognized something in him the moment I started reading these books. A person who cares, who genuinely, almost painfully, has decided that caring is too expensive. He just buries everything with alcohol and cynicism. And yeah, the alternative is just being angry at the world. A world you can't fix, you can't change. So I'm still stuck in that, but maybe Sam's story ends differently. Ankh-Morpork is not a city that works despite its corruption. It works because of it. The Thieves Guild, the Assassin's Guild, every form of crime is licensed, regulated, and accounted for. Veterinary didn't clean up the city, he organized it. And in a city this carefully balanced, there's no room for something as inconvenient as justice. Which is why the watch doesn't really matter. Can't matter, it's a relic of past times. Three men patrolling the streets that have no power. Uh, they can't enforce laws, and the city has decided they're optional. They're not worth listening to. And at the head of this nothing institution is Sam Fimes, a sergeant, drunk, a man who's been angry for so long he's forgotten what he's angry at. He knows what the watch should be. He probably always knew. And every day it isn't, it reminds him he couldn't make it so. So he just stopped trying, or so he told himself. And then a dragon appeared over Angkor and the city does what it always does. It adapts, it negotiates, it decides that some sacrifices are acceptable if the balance holds. Everyone except this, except Vimes. He has a plan, no backup, no reason to believe he can stop any of it. He just cannot make himself the person who walks away. The thing that he buried under the cynicism, under the bottle, under years of telling himself nothing mattered. It won't say buried, not for this. He decides to stay, to take action. That's who Sam Vimes is in page one, not who he becomes, who he already is. Righteousness was never created by the journey, it was always there. The watch didn't make him good, it gave him somewhere to put what was already in him. The watch grows, not because Vimes planned it that way, but because veterinary forced his hand. New recruits, werewolf, dwarves, trolls, and Vimes is kinda angry about it. He's suspicious, he's uncomfortable, doesn't like it, in a way that people are uncomfortable when the world refuses to stay the shape they expect it to be. And then he just notices these where people are actually good at their jobs, and for Vimes, that's good enough. Do your job, and it doesn't matter who you are. But It's not exactly Vimes who tells everyone what the watch should be. It more like the watch teaches him what the watch should be. So later on in the story, uh, Detrius and Cuddy should hate each other. They're both cops, but one is a troll and one is a dwarf. It's written in their biology. Trolls and dwarves have been at war and killing each other for centuries. It's going far, far back, further than anyone can remember. It's just the way things are, except nobody told them that, or they forgot, or they just decided that it wasn't for them. They became partners and they became genuinely good friends. Two people who were supposed to be enemies, figuring out that they aren't. And then Cuddy dies. And the watch isn't quite the same after, because it proved that something can be unproven, that the hatred that the city runs on isn't necessary, that two people can simply decide not to carry all the hate. The watch made it possible. And it's a place where the only thing that matters is whether you show up and do right. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, it matters what you do. Then a golem takes this a step further. They have no origin story, no family, no culture, no claim to personhood, but they are alive. They are seen as property, but they're conscious. They're tools. They go to work, they do their thing until they're told to stop. And they're just clay bodies that humans own. So Vimes extended this principle their way, not with a speech, just these are people. That's what people means. And Ankh-Morpork slowly, almost against its will, begins to agree. This is what the watch becomes under Vimes, not just a law enforcement, an institution. It's a place where the city's inherent certainties come to die, where it doesn't matter where you're from or what you are, only what you stand for and what you do. He never set out to build it, but that's just how it turns out to be. And by now, he stopped pretending that it wasn't about that. The Night Watch breaks the rules of the series. Vimes is thrown back in time, into Ankh-Morpork before the watch he built existed, into the city at its worst point, and he has to watch it. The abuse is systematic, not exceptional or flashy, it's just routine work. This is what the watch was: men with badges using them as permission for violence, violence as an administration, the institution not just failing to protect the people, but actively abusing the people. Vimes lived through this. He was part of it, or he was never the worst of it, but he was part of it. And seeing it again from the outside, everything he knows, it doesn't make him feel righteous. It makes him feel the weight of what it took to change. He tries to hold the line anyway, because that's just what Sam does. But he can chase it. That's the cruelest part. He has the knowledge, he knows what happens, because he was there back then, but it happens anyway. That part is fixed. People who die still die. Mistakes that are made can be prevented. And so he does the only thing left. He finds his younger self and tries to give him something. It's one of the weirder relationships in the series. He's not a stranger to young Sam. He is the man young Sam will become. He knows every mistake that's coming, every wrong turn, every bottle, every morning of shame, and he can't prevent any of it. The lessons he passed on are real. The things the street taught him back then, things that will help, but he knows somewhere underneath that they won't be enough. That young young Sam will have to feel all of it anyway, and that he can't use shortcuts for that. So he accompanies him, makes the road slightly less rocky, a little bit less lonely, but it doesn't change where it leads. This is what the Night Watch is about. It's not about triumph, not about revelation. It's just about a man looking back to where he came from and understanding, finally, what he was building towards and why. Not to change the past, but to make the future never look like the past did. The watch he returns to is the proof. It's not perfect, it's a bit complicated, there's infighting, but it's true to itself. It's built on the principle that it doesn't matter where you are from, what you are, it only matters what you do and what you stand for. He couldn't he couldn't save young Sam from this journey, but he made it mean something. Then we get to the next book. So after the Night's Watch, Vimes knows what he built and why he did it, but knowing doesn't mean the work is done. The city keeps testing the principle, and the tests just get a little bit harder and extreme. That brings the oldest war into the world of Ankh-Morpork. Trolls and dwarves have been killing each other for longer than anyone can remember, and nobody remembers why. It's not politics, it's not ideology, it's ancient, it's bone deep, it's just the way things are, and it nearly rips the city apart. Trolls fighting, protests, war in the streets. I'm sold the line, but not by choosing a side, by refusing to. Because that's what the watch stands for now. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, the law is the law. And slowly, painfully, trolls and dwarves began to find a way towards each other. Not because they forgot the past, but because they chose not to let it decide the future. Vimes didn't make that peace, but the watch made it possible. It was just a revelation of some things that already happened and showing people that not everything matters as much as you think it does. Then we get the last book, Snuff. Goblins get into the picture now. Goblins aren't a political question in Ankh-Morpork. They're not even a debate. They're like rats. They're vermin. Nobody thinks of them as human. The kind of being that nobody thinks to include when they talk about rights or dignity or what laws are for. Vimes extends the principle anyway, not because it's easy, not because anyone is asking to, but because the principle was never about the cases that were simple to argue. It was always about the ones nobody wanted to make. If it only applies when it's convenient, it isn't principle at all. It's just a preference. This is the furthest reach of everything that started with one drunk sergeant refusing to accept a dragon, the watch that began as a joke, a relic, 3 men, and a bottle. It now stands for something radical. That it doesn't matter what you are, that personhood isn't granted by the city's convenience, that laws exist to protect everyone, or it protects no one. Vimes never set out to be a revolutionary. He just couldn't make himself stop caring. And that's where this leads. I started this video telling you I recognized myself in Sam at the beginning of his arc, lost, frustrated, carrying something I didn't quite know what to do with. That's still true. I don't have a watch yet. I don't know what I'm forming or building or whether what I'm angry about will ever have something useful to go, but here's what Pratchett seems to be saying across all of these books. through all of Syme's stumbling and refusing to grumble his way towards something good. You don't have to know what you're building, you just have to not walk away. Vimes didn't become righteous, he became able to act on what was already there. The watch didn't change who he was, it gave his values something to land, like a canvas. Maybe that's enough of a map for now. Not a destination, just a thing you refuse to accept.